The Therapist and the Coach podcast is a space for real relational conversations about what it means to be human.
In a world obsessed with fixing, achieving, and self-help, we invite you to pause, lean in, and discover the wisdom already inside.
Together, we explore how healing, growth, and transformation can happen not in isolation, but in connection.
Through open-hearted dialogue, we challenge the myth of self-regulation and self-improvement, offering instead co-regulation, psychological safety, and the power of being seen.
Well, Oren, welcome back to our space.
Welcome back to all of us. We came from the ice back home.
Yeah, yeah, we literally took what, a month off.
Took a
Um,
month off. Yeah.
and I do want to just acknowledge how important that was because it wasn't something we planned.
Hmm.
There was some personal reasons that that happened, and they were grounded in self-care. And I just want to acknowledge, as helpers in the realm of human, supporting human growth and
Human
development.
supporting human. Yeah.
Yeah, how important that self-care piece is, and how important it is to create space for self. And every time I do that for myself, I find renewed energy, I find new perspective, or I don't know, sometimes it's just new energy for something. And not that I lost energy around this, because this is my happy place with you. I look forward to it every week, and I really missed it. And the missing, they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. Could I be more
Yes.
fond of you?
Oh.
I don't know. But it was just really nice. And we did meet. We did meet to just reconnect together after our self-care break. Well,
Yeah.
during it actually. And we both decided that these conversations are something we want to continue having,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
which is an
To-
important check-in, because just because we started doing something doesn't mean we have to keep doing it if it's not serving
Absolutely. Yeah, I
us.
think you're so right. It's just after a while, you just want to stop and just have a mindfulness moment and say, stop here right now and say, how are we doing?
Yeah.
Is it going to the direction that we want? Are we happy? And all of that, which is so important to do in any kind of relationship. It's like, how are we doing?
Yeah.
How is this platform working? And I think you're also so right about, and that's something that many of us in our professions, whether it's coaching, psychology, any kind of help, uh, we keep going and we're doing a job that is tiring. Now, it's not tiring physically of like, moving bricks from one place to another all day long. We're sitting and doing that. But anyone who has children who loves them very much knows that sometimes the parents can be very, very tired. And if parents are tired, which is so understandable, there won't be really the good qualitative parents if they still there try to give something to their kids that they don't have. So I'm
Mhm.
just usually say to parents, to coaches, to whoever that might, to therapists, to whoever that might be, stop from sometimes and just kind of assess and see how are you doing, because we're just running and we're seeing people and we have life, and life is not easy so many times, and
Well,
especially in our profession, that it's a lot of holding. It's a lot of holding space, which is, I think, the most important part of healing, or any kind of healing, is just to be there, to be capable of being there when somebody is not, and it's more like energetically. So if we are depleted, first of all, we don't want to be there when we're depleted. It doesn't matter how much we love the person that or the people that we're working or be with. It can be our children. We just want to go to sleep sometimes. But that is so important because so many people think that if it takes time, or if it's just not resolved right now, or whatever it is, that they want to push to resolution right away. And so many times it's just time and just being together, because there's not much we can do. We can suggest this, we can suggest that. The people that in front of us are not usually stupid. They know, they just feel helpless or tired or angry or whatever it is. They need to be mostly contained and be with. And that's the agent of healing, because that's what needs to get them regulated. That's the regulation. That's the co-regulation, is that one person who is regulated, not perfect, regulated at that point of time, holding somebody that is not. Just like we're doing with little kids. They're screaming, they're not comfortable. Sometimes we did everything possible. Then again, change diaper, fed them, all that. They're not comfortable and they might not even know why. Of course they don't. They don't have a developed left brain. So all we can do is just really comfort them because they're not comfortable. And eventually, usually that's what get them to fall asleep all of a sudden. And it's over. So I'm going to many directions, but I was thinking that yes, what you said about like stopping and just take time for ourselves, regardless, it doesn't have to be between us. It has to be that it's too much for life or whatever happens. It's just to stop and say, how are we doing?
Mhm.
And how am I doing? And how are you doing? And for everyone else that hear it, how are you doing right now in terms of, are you exhausted? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing things for you? Are you resting enough? Or you just got into a pattern when you start losing yourself and you don't even know that you're so exhausted. And when you're exhausted, how can we give something that we don't have?
Mm. Yeah, thank you for all that. The basis of what brought us together and what we believe in is that all healing happens in relationship. And I'm going to suggest magic happens in relationship and dreams come true in relationship. And we are the common denominator everywhere we go. So I just wanted to amplify all that you've said through my own experience of the last month or so that we've taken a break because there was travel involved. There was, um, you know, uh,
Surgery involved, I
surgeries
went through
involved.
surgery. Yeah.
There was practicality involved in that I was running my course and it had to fall on Thursdays. Like, so there was these moving parts that we could have controlled, but they sort of happened upon us. And I do want to highlight the resilience of our relationship, as young as it is, given that, we've only known each other a year now. Um, because we could just be with that. We could just pause and give it space, and we both stated that we knew we wanted to come back to it, and it was longer than both of us thought. We thought it was just going to be a couple weeks, and it's
Yeah.
been, I
Yeah.
don't know, a month,
Yeah.
6 weeks or something. But um, had I had expectations or attachments to what this had to be or should be, or to your point, the pattern of if this was an aspect of my life that, because I'm going to be real, that there are parts of my life right now that are very hamster wheel like, whether I like it or not, it happens to be the way things are at the moment, and I'm breathing through them. This was not that. Like our space, our time together is very sacred to me. It's not that.
It's a lot, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot to hold.
it's a lot to hold. And yet to be able to release something, knowing like with the simplest agreement, which is based in trust and what we've developed over the last year, to be able to let something so important go. And then to me today, I looked forward to this day so much with you
You?
because we're coming back in a different space with different energy, with different capacity, having taken care of ourselves in different ways.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we now have that to give to each other because we've given it to ourselves, but we also have to give it to anyone who's listening.
Absolutely.
So that resilience in relationship, that trust and that the quality of the relationship allowed for the spaciousness that, and I guess holding space, I think that's going to be the theme of this podcast, by the way. Thank you for bringing that in. We just held space for ourselves to take care of what we needed to take care of, trusting that
Yeah.
we'd come back when it was aligned. And here we are today. That to me is a really important reflection on the importance of relationship and how relationship can support the unforeseen things in life that occur and also highlight and amplify how important self and time for self and taking care of each other but also ourselves is important, and sometimes that means to pause, and that pause felt really sacred to me, like we were holding space for something else to emerge. And in true fashion, we don't know what that is, but we know that we want to stay in the conversation, and that's enough.
But that's the hard part for people. I think that it's like, and I want to really second you with what you said. It's so important. It's like we had the trust that we gained. Yes, it's been a year, but if let's say that pause happened a month after we started or after two episodes, we might not have the trust or build enough relationship between you and I that we will have that this time around to pause, knowing I got you in my heart, you have me in my heart, we're really okay, and we'll come back. We didn't abandon each other or the program, that we really actually need to attend to something else right now. And other things that came up, there's life, right? So it's that flexibility of life that things come up, you have to sometimes hold, but the relationship, the string attached between us was strong enough and flexible enough to let us go and come back. It was never severed. And it's not like it's that kind of like, the lead, like the dogs, they have the leash that is flexible, that they can get them further. We are not in a leash, but we're connected in a way that was enable us to go out, not bound to each other, but have such a cord of connection, invisible cord of connection, that no matter where we went, we'll come back. And what will happen? We trust, even when it's hard to trust so many times that
Yeah.
it will be whatever it's going to go.
And the result of that is something that I see as the it's not the human condition, but it's sort of the human condition in the system and in the world as it is today, is there's a lot of permission in that trust that you're talking about and what we've developed. There's a lot of permission to be honest and say, hey, I need more
Yes.
time, or hey, you know what? I need to just focus on this right now because that's what's calling to me. And to be able to be present and have permission
Yeah.
implicit. It's not that you said, I permit you. It's not that. It's that the relationship offers that permission. And I think that is such an important and precious part of our relationship and our relationship, because I see so many people living the should life, the have
Hmm.
to life,
Hmm.
the, oh, I keep showing up even though I might not have the energy for it. It's like
Hmm.
I made this commitment to Oren, therefore I should show up, therefore I da 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 da. And then
Right.
I end up more depleted. My energy isn't whole. I'm not aligned. I'm not in. You might feel that, and it might activate something in you at a very non-conscious or conscious level, or just make you wonder, does she really want to be here? Because one of the things that I think as human beings, we don't realize or take enough care of and or fully understand the impact of is that how we are coming in, how we're feeling about something or someone or about our own lives translates to others in a way that's invisible but has huge influence and impact. So if I come in not feeling whole or complete or wanting to be here, and that's about me, not about you, but it you feel that change in me, that lack of something, just in a posture. It could be all nonverbal. You're just
Absolutely.
feeling my energy,
Absolutely.
and
100%. It's all energy. Yep.
you're not present because you're like, well, what's going on with Lerae? She doesn't feel the same today. Like that might not
Yeah.
be a conscious thought. You might, so it's really, relationships are so nuanced. And, I just don't know where I'm going with all of this. I
Oh,
just really
you went
appreciate.
very well with that. You went very well with that. It's like, then again, it's like you talked about um, how did you say that? You said it, it's like I'm not sure the word that you,
Permission or
permission, permission. And you said like, because we had the trust, we could go and take care of ourselves. And basically what the trust enables is to keep the two parties, if you're safe enough to say what you need within the relationship, think about that. You just strengthened both you and the other person. Because if you said, like, let's say that I know that you're not okay and I see it, and it's like it's nonverbal thing. And I probably would say that to my mind, I would send it to you. We do that all the time. We have this conversation in our minds and play the game as if nothing happens. If that's the case, if that's not safe, then there is some separation. So I know you're not, something is going, you know that, but you try so hard. And we try to keep that thing so solid when it's not at that point of time. You're struggling to, let's say that you're exhausted, but you came anyway. It's hard for you. You're not going to be the same Lerae. Not that you need to, but I'm saying that, you want to be as much as you.
I have the expectation that that's how I should show up or need to show up or you
Exactly.
need me to show up or whatever that is.
Exactly. You can't show up and say, today I'm tired. It's so interesting. I just went through a surgery and I started working again a couple of days ago. And I saw the first thing that I said to my clients, because I knew I looked different. I mean, like kind of after a surgery, after a couple of days. But I told them, which was true. I just want to tell you from the beginning, I went through this and this. I'm a bit tired. I'm a bit that, but I definitely can be there for you. So just know that if you see something like that. So I immediately wanted to tell them because they would see that. And if I try so hard to hold it, I won't be able to be me at that point of time. It's good for them to know that Oren is a person too, that, just like the leader is a person too, the coach is a person, and the psychologist is a person. And to bring that humanity into the relationship. And that's what strengthened the relationship. That's build the trust. Because if you build the trust on expectations or how it should be, or to create a perfect scenario, how you communicate right, where everybody is depleted and not themselves, well, it's not about communication anymore. It's rarely about communication. It's about how safe I am to communicate who I am and how I am and what I want to say at that point of time. And that has to do with the other person. So we created a safety between us over time that we saw in each other and said, oh, that's safe for me to ask. Because let's say if I ask you one time, Lerae, no, I'm thinking that not that it happened, but not sure that I want to do it next week, just because. No excuse. Just like, I need a little break. That would give you a permission. Now, knowing me, you know that I'm still one. I just want to need a vacation. Like I don't want to do it next week without any excuse. Let's say. Now, if you weren't secure yourself in yourself and me, it was like, oh my God, he doesn't want to do it. It's not that.
Oh,
You know what I mean. So, but which is, by the way, fine to experience that. But in that case, you would ask me, just like you asked me this morning something about it. Something was private, and and you were confronting me with something that you wanted to ask in a very beautiful way, and I'm so grateful. That kind
and
of
we
relate.
didn't record it.
Oh,
Ah,
we didn't record. That's okay. But here it is. Here it is. A very good example of you trusted me. You trusted yourself first. You were safe enough to say that. It could be that I'm the safest place to go, and you wouldn't say it because you feel you will project that I'm going to be angry with you or abandon you. All these things from a long time ago, but you didn't. You came very calm. You asked me in a beautiful way, and 2 seconds we have a conversation, and we're talking about that so beautifully. It's just, and we didn't even talked about that right now. We just talk about it in the podcast, but because we talk about the topic of trust and how important it is, now that expands the system. That gets the system from being very narrow to how it should be to we're going with whatever we need to go at that point of time. The water are taking us, the current taking us in different directions. If we try to go through that water like that, by the time we reach 5 feet, we're going to be exhausted and it's going to be that. So there's the trust that has built between us and who we are enable us to be exactly how it needs to be. And that is what's incredible about healthy relationship. It's like you can be human. You
Mm.
don't need to be excellent. You just need to be human. And sometimes you say things that are wrong, and sometimes that, but that's being part of human. And if you have somebody on the other side that is like you go with that boat or that car to explore different destinations.
Yeah, it's explore and so much possibility in that space.
Yeah,
Like
yes,
there's so much
endlessly.
collaboration and creativity and
Well,
uh,
that opens
potential.
the creativity. That
Yes,
opens
it
up.
does.
Yeah.
So I want to dial back a little bit because there's a really important aspect of all of what's happening here that we're talking about that you brought forward when you were talking about how you showed up with your clients after your surgery. So you, human being who happens to be a therapist, who holds space for others, had a surgery. You came in with enough knowledge and understanding and capacity within yourself to be vulnerable and to be authentic
Hmm.
and speak your truth.
Hmm.
If I, as a person, don't have access to that level of vulnerability, if I'm trying to manage my expectations of who I should be sitting in that chair, then my clients aren't getting that
That's exactly.
permission to
That's
be
exactly right. That's
authentic
exactly.
either.
That's exactly
So
right.
I think it's important to dial back there because that is a personal growth and development journey to just be vulnerable within oneself, to be authentic with oneself, to understand that or to move beyond managing the expectations of who I think I should be. And in my case, a recovering people pleaser who I thought other people needed me to be. Running around trying to be who everybody needed me to be. And gosh, that's exhausting
It's
and
exhausting. It's exhausting.
incredibly disappointing. I discovered, and one of my clients gave me language for this, and it summed up so much of my younger years, my 20s, my and before. Expectations are premeditated disappointments.
That's
I
that's
found myself
so true.
disappointed in so many relationships. I found myself disappointed in myself in so many different ways. And I didn't understand that it was because I had these either hidden unconscious expectations of what should happen. If I do X, then this happens. Or, this is how I need to show up. I didn't realize that there was this hidden impact in relationship when I was not being authentic. It is a lot of work being human.
A
The
lot of
importance.
it's a lot of work, and the sad part is you really I'm thinking about in compassion to you, and I, by the way, had the same trajectory, did the same thing, so I can relate to you. Is that we went from we didn't have our own self, because our own self was, if we could develop our own tree, we wouldn't want to be what other people need us to be, but because we didn't have that, we had to please others, probably from
That's the
very,
meeting the
very.
needs conversation. Yep,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
brought the
yeah,
tree in again.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the moment you are, then you are, so you don't have to work for that to get your needs met. You don't need to get people to love you and be what they want you to be in order to be loved, which is not love. It's just so less tiring. It's just so less tiring. So to be you, and I was the same way, just try to please this and do this, and what am I doing? Why am I doing it? It's just like basically to think that, hey, I'm here and I'm valued, and but nothing left. You don't even know why you did. You just want to please one to another. I called myself the chameleon when I was in that department. So I would just
Yes, me
I would
too.
just change colors. Depends on who wants me better. I was
Yeah.
very good at that. But that's a defense mechanism. That's a
Well, and
defense
it's
mechanism.
and to give language to that defense mechanism, it is a an abandoning of self. Every choice I made to override what felt right to me, but to do the thing that I thought was expected, I became less of myself. and then would turn around and blame other people for it. Well, why isn't anyone there for me when I need help? I'm there for everyone else. Well,
Right,
nobody asked me to be.
right,
I just was. So,
right.
but then I could turn around and blame people for that. And I mean
Hmm.
that's probably a whole other podcast, and I am keeping time today so that we stick to our 30 minutes. Um, but what's the essence of what we're really talking about here from your perspective?
There are there's many things, but I think that the one that I wish people would stay with, because that's what we started with, is that relationship evolve. If there are now depends on the people, could be that one of us wouldn't be evolved enough for us to keep what we do, because you could do the right thing, that like to do all the thing that you
Mhm.
did, and I would be freaking out. It could be dissolved. So the important thing is that when you know who you are, and you go back to yourself, to whatever you know, and you keep it sacred, just like you help others, you are, remember, not less important than anyone else. You could just try to come back to yourself and be authentic, and try to see whether the environment around you is safe to be that. You can try. Sometimes you'll have like a horrible, non-safe environment. We wouldn't be us, or we would protect ourselves, both you and me. If we right now went to a cutthroat environment, I wouldn't be vulnerable there. I would want to protect myself. But that's again part of being there for me. But in order to be in a context of relationship that gradually evolve, and when the trust evolve, and trust is evolved, you can't buy it. What I experienced from you this year, it doesn't matter with what you have told me about that a month into it, it wouldn't matter, because I didn't have the time to actually know that, to
Mhm.
experience that from you. That's the real test. But if we are able to talk about that, so we have different places of where we start with injuries and all that. The thing that we can always do, and that's something that you and I actually talked about in the morning before we came, it's like when we talked about that private thing, and I said, both of us said, we're so happy to talk about that. We,
Mm.
we, we didn't have to come with any solution other than the solution was being with that together. And that increases the trust about that. From the next time will be other things. The system constantly expand by just us being together with that. And so I'm thinking that's to tell people, for people to that we start with different ways of how much we trust in general, but to try to trust yourself that you can actually talk about that. What could happen? Somebody rejected you anyway, and you want to tell them that something that you want to, that you can only gain maybe if you open up the conversation. Maybe they can join in, maybe not. There's other people. But to have the capability of really being the here and now with what actually it is, that is priceless, really, because that has to do nothing with expectation. That has to do with the here and now.
Mhm.
Expectations, as you said, like, if it doesn't go the way I want, it's going to fail, and who knows what's going to happen. This is the last thing that we can control, is the outcome.
Well, and the disappointment. I don't know about you, but I did not, that was an unacceptable. I did not know or learn, and I'm still working on it, to be honest, how to deal with disappointment.
So that's
And
a big one.
it is a really big one. And I'm going to put something out here right now, like from my perspective, and I know the world is a mirror for me, so there's probably something here for me, so I'm just going to own that. But I'm watching this whole what's happening in the world right now, and an aspect of that is there's a whole generation that are being groomed to blame and not take responsibility and cannot deal with disappointment, like can't and
I could, yeah.
there's no personal responsibility in that. I mean, that opens up a whole can of worms, and not really fair to do, when there's
But that's
4 minutes
something that we
left.
will put down to talk about,
Yeah.
because there's a lot in it. Yeah.
Well, and there's also a lot in, we dropped into this conversation about self-care and the importance of it in relationship. to continue to grow, expand, and to your point, tap into the creativity, the potential, and like whatever the potential of the relationship, let's just call it.
Yeah.
Um,
Quantum field expands. The
and
area from which you
it's
can operate expands.
yes, yes, all that, because that also like continue that becomes a positive feedback loop of trust in self and trust in others, trust in self and trust in others, and our resilience in relationship expands. There is something I'd love to talk about because it's something you said early on in the podcast, and it's language that you and I may understand, but it's kind of jargony with regards to just the layperson that might be listening to this. And it's the concept of holding space for. It's
So
there's holding
important.
space and there's holding space for.
Hmm.
And I like just to anchor that, I would really love to carry that thread. I know that we sometimes weave and turn and we come around to things again, but
It's
I would
okay. That's
really
all
love
good. That's part of the deal. Yeah.
because
We
you
don't we
talked
don't
about,
have to be on the same topic all the time. That's the part of the going to in tangent sometimes. It's okay.
yeah, yeah, it was
Mhm.
something you said that you'd like to talk about in this session. And it's as we moved into the session or that this conversation, what really dropped in me was the idea of self-care and how important that was um, as a starting point for
Yeah.
relationship and holding space for others. Um, so I'd love to describe what that means and have conversation from our own perspectives on what it means to hold space and hold space for self or others, and maybe dig into that a little bit next time we meet if the
Oh yeah. Oh
river
yeah.
takes
This
us
is so
there.
important. And maybe we can talk a little bit about also the relation with neuroscience that comes from that because it's this the science around that and around within the brain what's happening, why is the holding space is, it's all holding air almost inside. So what prohibits us from sometimes having air to, what depletes us so fast and others not, so it all has to do with the construction of the container, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, really great language. And it also it's transformation happens in that space. So it's what it means to hold space for, but also why? Question mark. Like, why would we do that? So that's the neuroscience piece, and the what can happen in that space can be incredibly magical and
It
and
is.
can take, and actually I'm going to go as far as saying can heal generations.
I agree.
In
I think it's the one's most. I mean, it involves a lot of capabilities,
Mm.
but the capability of being in a space that is expanding and shifting and to stay anchor is the one that is actually healing the most because that's the one that actually created the wounds. Like imagine, I'm giving like right now an example of holding space. Mom coming back, we're going to with a generic mom and a kid, okay, or dad or kid, it doesn't really matter. Um, Mom, let's say, came back from work exhausted, and she has a baby. She needs to do that, which happens to so many families, to so many moms and dads, exhausted. But there is a kid waiting for her, wants to jump all over her and needs to get fed and all that. She has nothing to give. She's exhausted inside. She had a horrible day, let's say. She might be depressed and anxious and all the things that humans experience. She took it herself. And she needs to right now have a space, internal space for her kiddo who may be so much not even annoying to her, just want to play right now, and there's the last thing that she can and want to do right now. Not that she doesn't love her kid, not that she's just depleted. So this is an example of physical exhaustion. There is no space, there is nothing to give physically or mentally. There is also so many other parts of that, but I'm thinking that we might need to open that up next time because
Mm.
as I'm start talking about that, I think if we open it up, we'll leave it kind of half and that. So maybe that's something that we can attend next time and going
Yeah,
deep into that.
that's great. And I think you've just created a really beautiful segue to that conversation. And also, in doing so, tied it to the importance of self-care.
Yeah.
And that self-care might people would say, yeah, I don't have the luxury of that. I have to this, I have to that.
Luxury.
And and yeah, so it's yeah. So there's also how we perceive ourselves in that process and how we're in relationship with just even the concept or idea of self-care. And it doesn't have to be a lot. So we like to leave people with just, something to think about
A
or
lot of
something
goodies to
to,
come. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
really
so
actually it's a fascinating conversation because that it's so important. And I think
yeah.
next time we'll dive into it.
And for closing today, I know that I'd like to offer just something that really changes my life. Two things. Number one, when I think I don't have enough time to take care of myself, I need to remember I have more than enough time and that what I focus on expands. So if I'm saying I don't have enough time, guess what? It's
You
true.
won't have enough time. Yeah.
So just even from a self-care standpoint, if you don't think you have time to take care of yourself, maybe shift that to I have more than enough time to take care of myself, and this is what I'm going to do for
It's
myself.
true because whatever you tell yourself, that's how what you give yourself to happen, right? I mean,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. What about
absolutely.
you? Anything you want to leave people with?
I was thinking about just what you said, and that's another podcast, and that's a little bit of quantum physics because I want to actually talk about how our intentions, our
Mm.
self-talk, and what really actually happen inside create reality. The reality that doesn't exist other than for us.
Ooh,
So,
okay. So
so
space
that's
holding,
something
and then more like in the quantum field, and we're
more of
moving
the
it.
quantum, more that in a way that people would understand, so they don't have to freak out that I'm start talking equations.
Well,
Then they go to
but
go, go to sleep.
it's really exciting though because it's also talking about like I understand we're talking it from a relational perspective, but from a coaching perspective, that conversation about intentions and desires and manifestation is really empowering and important because we've talked a lot about healing, we've talked a lot about relationship, we've talked a lot about the why, imposter syndrome, the things that get in the way. But what about the potentiality that exists? I don't even know if that's a word. Is that a word, potentiality? That exists when we actually move into like move from this place of self-trust and relationship and self and the world and the creativity and the potential that exists that we can tap into. That is something we haven't talked about yet.
And that's fascinating. And it's very actually optimistic because the
Yes.
reality is that there are no any limitations. That's
Yes.
the reality is that there is no limitations.
Yes.
We are
I
the
am
only
the
ones. We are
limitation.
the only ones who limit ourselves. Yeah.
Yes. I'm super stoked. Okay, so I'm just going to write these down. So holding space, and then coming up is
Is
quantum
quantum physics. Let's talk about
intention.
the reality inside and the reality outside. Or what is reality? What is the nature of reality? And that will give us, I think, getting a little bit from the box that we put ourselves, and we do that on a regular basis.
Yeah. And we've kind of put ourselves in a little bit of a box,
Right,
talking
that's what I'm saying.
about,
That's what
oh
we
yeah,
do. Oh yeah,
yeah.
we are. Yeah,
No,
well,
you and I, like,
yeah,
we might just find ourselves going off into a really cool place. So I'm excited
exactly,
about where the river's taking us.
exactly.
I
Maybe we'll talk about boots next time. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know why boots, but
No, that's okay. I wrote them down. I wrote them down because I'm super excited about so holding space and quantum physics. So those are our next two podcasts. And yes, I know we might derail, but we will come back to them because I have
exactly,
them on a sticky
exactly.
note. All
And
right.
I just wanted you asked me to wish. I want to wish everybody a wonderful day, an easy day, and just kind of let yourself be human, and be kind to yourself however you need to. Everybody needs something different. So I know a lot of love from you and from me to
Oh,
everyone, especially this time of the year, this time of. So we're sending love to everyone.
thank you, Oren. Nice to be
Thank
with
you,
you
Lerae.
today.
Thank you.